name is David Schurter, and I am looking for any information on a man who disappeared in the late summer or the fall of '79. He was around 5'8" to 6 foot, blondish brown hair, good looking and outgoing, and most importantly, he was obsessed with finding his dark-haired little girl, who I believe was actually his little girl. The man came to the duplex behind me in 1979 where my family lived, looking for his little girl, not knowing that my family was involved with her disappearance. His iced tea was drugged by my stepmother, Joanne Schurter, and later, in the presence of my father, Robert Lynn Schurter Jr., my stepmother, Joanne Schurter, older brother, Stephen, and older sister, Cynthia Hester, my father doused the man with the flammable liquid, and I was forced to throw a match on him, thus lighting him on fire. I had repressed this until a year ago last November, when I remembered this event in a dream. I called the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, believing if I could find the little girl, I might find the guy who came in search of her. They took down my information, but didn't know where to direct me. 2 months later, a man from the Nebraska State Patrol called, and since then, I have been in contact with Sergeant Bob Frank, who was head of the cold case files at the time. There is a great deal of personal history, personal family history, where my family was involved with a group of people who reportedly were kidnapping, trafficking, raping, and killing children in a rash of child abductions that happened in Omaha, Nebraska in the 1970s. Right before my father died 2 years ago, he told me himself that he had skeletons in his closet. I also believe that he told others, which is the reason why I believe my stepmother, Joanne, tried to convince those who would listen that he suffered from dementia. I have tried to obtain his medical records to find out if this is true, but have been unable to obtain that information since my father's medical records have been sealed by my stepmother. My oldest sister, Cynthia Hester, who lived in Daytona Beach, Florida, died 3 weeks after my father. A week and a half before she died, she began making accusations that my niece and brother-in-law were going to kill her. Although Adult Protective Services were involved, no questions were asked, and after my sister's death, no investigation into her death or her accusations was ever done. I do not know if this is related, but considering the volatile relationship she had with my stepmother, and considering my sister had conscious memories of my family's activities, I can't help wonder but if there wasn't more involved. At the end of this last year, at the request of everyone who loves me, I was getting ready to let this go, feeling I had done what I needed to do to get to the truth of this. However, 2 things have happened that have persuaded me to make this video. First, I was not so subtly threatened by some friends of Alan Baer, a wealthy business owner and convicted pedophile who recently died, who was also reportedly connected to all of this. Mr. Baer was convicted of 6 counts of pandering sex with minors, which he received a $3,500 fine, and he was also involved with the failed local credit union that had several serious rumors surrounding it. It was at this point that I realized that this man that I was forced to hurt was part of a larger situation that somehow transcended my family. It also made me wonder if there wasn't more involved with the murder of my best friend in 1982, or it would be 1989, David Klotz. I apologize to Sergeant Bob Frank, and wait a minute. Secondly, I was also told there was no evidence to support my family ever lived in Fremont. This is a concern for me since it only took me 10 minutes and 2 phone calls to have the Fremont Public Schools find and send me paperwork showing that not only did I live in Fremont, but attended school there as well. I had them mail me a copy of my paperwork and also had him sent a copy to Brian Mastery, a local TV news reporter, in hope to validate my claims. Can you even get that? I apologize to both Sergeant Bob Frank and Brian Mastery for putting them in this awkward position. I realize what I'm doing is unconventional, but as I told you both, I am going to do whatever I need to do to get to the bottom of this situation. Somewhere out there is a family to whom my family caused grievous harm. Somewhere out there is a woman, a mother, who lost her child and then lost her husband, who has never had any closure. A predominant lawyer here in town recently told me that Omaha is a small town and that you can't keep secrets forever. I agree. The time for secrets is over. And in order for that to happen, people need to stop keeping them. Somewhere out there, someone knows of a man, he was maybe even a policeman, who in 1979 went in search of his missing dark-haired little girl and in turn became one of the missing himself. What you may not know is that this man died a hero, and I owe it to him, his little girl, and his family to try and make this right. Thank you for any help. If you have any information, please do not hesitate to call Brian Mastry, Channel 6 News, Omaha, Nebraska. The phone number is 402-346-6666. You may also call Sergeant Bob Frank of the Nebraska State Patrol. His number is 402-471-4545. Because of the situation, and because I'm not exactly sure who to trust in the situation, I ask that if you call one, please call the other. Thank you for any help that you can offer, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of this.